Hello, this is Alechius, the Tinkering Gamer, and welcome back to a new campaign where we are going to be playing Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts in the campaign Things, and we will be playing the French, 1890, normal difficulty, historical. We'll be generating our own fleets, and I have created some basic ships for most of the main competitors for the campaign. So you'll see a few that I've put in there, and if it keeps the naming schema, it should be obvious. I'm going to start generating that, and I will get back to you. And here we are in the campaign. I haven't done anything except I've gone and made some designs, and we'll go over that in a little bit. But we're looking at the world situation. We've got France, we've got Algeria, French Africa, we've got the French Guyana, or Guinea, and French Indochina. Actually, do we have Madagascar as well? Not Madagascar, but we've got Port St. Denis. We've got some bases all over the place, and we'll have to consider that as we move forward. Looking at the political situation, fights we want to have is pretty much anybody except England to start with. After a while, we'll pick fights with them, but not immediately. So, my first order of business, improve relations. Going on to finances, we're going to have to pay attention to this. First thing I want to do is I want to max out transport capacity. We want to get that as fast as possible for maximum economic growth. I'm going to max out the tech budget because that gets immensely powerful. Training budget is cheap because we have no ships yet. We're going to have to pay attention to that, and we want to build the shipyard as big as possible. It will naturally grow, but I don't want to count on that. I want to force it because we're going to be making some bigger ships as we go. Going on to research. Now, we've got a lot of choices here. I kind of like to not use the priorities because, okay, take 37 months for armor forging, 6 months for small guns. Oh, now it's 9, but now it's 8. And now it's 11. And now it's 13, except that's applied to everything, including each other, because you'll see armor forging goes back up. But there's certainly some use in jumping ahead on certain tech. And I do want to rush kind of the early Dreadnought, except not the hull. Because we're going to have fun with the French tumblehomes of the turn of the century. But we're going to try to get to turbines quickly. We're going to try to get some coincidence, or better fire control. And I think we're going to focus on armor quality. All this to the engines to get the turbines, to reduce engine weight and get faster. Armor quality to get the better quality, which is better value per. Like, there's definitely some benefit in going for the armor forging because that'll reduce armor weight. But the gun accuracy is going to be everything shortly. After that, there is the larger 7-inch casemates. We're going to want to get the gun layout to go up as well, but that can wait. Other things I'm going to like: shells, explosives, rangefinders, armor forging, hull construction, all to reduce weight. Now, on to the ship designs themselves. Let's see if this loads relatively quickly, because we have a variety of designs here. Alright, that wasn't too long. We have the Condor set, which has 4 12-inch guns, 4 6-inch on the fore and aft, and 22 3-inch guns of various kinds in various locations. 3 underwater tubes, 20 knots. We see our maintenance of 1.7 million, cost of 33 million, and displaces just over 10 kilotons. Oh, and has a crew of 695. Sure, we can throw the plane on there. She looks pretty. Now, by comparison, and there's not a lot of options that we have that are useful. And switch between the iron plate and compound. Enhanced reloading, some of the shell sizes, but a lot of these options, they're null and void. Oh yeah, the armoring scheme. Do we have that? Yes, 0.3 to 14 inches of the lower iron quality. We go to Danton as our alternative. We're looking at, oh, she's overweight. I must have switched something. There's been a lot of patches recently, which is why I didn't get this out last week. Oh yeah, I might have to poke at it some. But the general layout is the 4 12-inch guns. 6 6-inch, because we have that amidships mounting. 8 4-inch. A little bit more heavy hitting on the torpedo boats and smaller boats. And the 12 3-inch. 3 underwater, 1 on each amidships, and 1 in the bow. 20 knot speed, a little bit higher maintenance at 1.8 million, a little bit higher cost at 34 million, almost 35. And a complement of 630. Looking to the side, which I'm gonna cut that, we're looking at our armor of very similar setup. And what I want from you guys is, what are you considering the better design? I'll copy that, fix it so it works, and then we'll go ahead and move forward. Aft offset was 5%. Aft offset a little bit heavier in the stern on this one. Going down to our heavy cruisers, which I very much liked this design, so it's the only one we're going to have, but we still need to figure out how many of each design we're going to make. So the heavy cruiser Condor at 4 tons, just popped my cat in the nose because I'm petting her on the side. 4 8-inch guns, 4 6-inch guns on the midships turrets, 4 5-inch guns on the bow and stern, 4 4-inch guns on the midships mounts, 3 underwater tubes, and the 2 midships, 1 bow. We have 21 knot speed, 800,000 in maintenance, 16 million to build one, with a complement of 200 crew. The complement is very important because your fleets are limited by the amount of crew that are in them. So each battleship fleet that we make, we have 3 times as many heavy cruisers in it. As an example, we're using the better quality compound armor on the Danton with an armor scheme roughly like so. And part of that is because the battleship armor is so heavy initially. Then we get into all over the place. The light cruisers are where there's a lot of options. So we have the Begode with 2 5-inch guns, fore and aft, 4 4-inch guns, amidships. Or are those in the casemates? I actually don't remember. 4-inch guns are on the deck. The 4 3-inch guns are in the casemates, fore and aft. 3 underwater tubes as before, 22 knot speed, just under 400,000 in maintenance, 7 million in cost, with a crew of 238. It's more than the heavy cruiser. Now, different, keep in mind this goes 22 knots. We can go with the Primo, which has 2 5.2-inch guns, 4 4-inch guns on the deck, fore and aft, 4 3-inch guns in the casemates again, 4 underwater tubes. Really? 19 knot top speed, crew of 165, under 300,000 in maintenance, 5.5 million in cost. She's slow though. She can be a raider, she can be a station keeper, keeping on ports, running interference. Go down to the Devo, which I love that this has, what is it? 3, 6, 8, 16 smokestacks. This is absolutely bonkers crazy light cruiser. Only 1.5 kilotons with 6 4-inch guns on the deck, 4 3-inch guns in the casemates as we've seen, 9 underwater torpedo tubes. That's what makes her unique. 21 knots of speed, 300,000 in maintenance, 5.5 million in cost. She's a torpedo cruiser. And at 21 knots, that's actually fast for 1890. Going to the Dassas. This is more of the Rambow classic look. She's got 4 4-inch guns, 7 underwater torpedo tubes. Not a great thing, but this one is even more strictly a torpedo cruiser. Fewer tubes, just as fast, only 200,000 in maintenance, less than 4 million in cost, crew of 206. So we got options in the light cruiser realm, and how to get them. And then we have 2 torpedo boats that I had considered, the Pipette, which, crew of nothing, the 2-inch deck gun, 2 torpedo tubes, 32 knots. Nothing for maintenance, 700,000 in cost. Very limited range. And the Escopette, which is a little bit bigger, 275 tons, still 32 knots, 60,000 in maintenance, 14 crew, 1.2 million. Much better range. So we can keep coastal, like harbor defense pipettes, and Escopettes can actually range out onto the high seas. So what I'm asking from you is, what designs should we keep and how should we prioritize them? Like, are we going to go battleship heavy? Are we going to focus on heavy cruisers? try to spread out amongst the colonies, keep concentrated. I'm willing to accept suggestions on this one. And I know we didn't get to design the ships together, that's a whole process, but there's so many. For the first episode, I just want to knock it out and get it done, and then get it up so we can move forward. And there'll be some tweaks in between episodes as I fix that for the recent patch that came out. I must say, I've been very pleased with Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. The dev team, despite a lot of issues in the development of the game and changes in the dev team, have stuck with it. They haven't given up. They haven't cranked it out and said, okay, this is final version. Good luck. Have fun. They're actually staying with it. So I have some amount of faith the game will be finished. Getting back to the game, we have our ship designs. There's the comparison. Now that we know what we have to work with, back to the world map, and we have mainland France. We have 3 ports up on the north coast, 3 ports on the south. Keep in mind we have Corsica, so it's really almost like 5 ports in the northwestern Mediterranean, and we have 4 ports in the southwestern Mediterranean. Assume a lot of these are going to be fairly large, 91,000 tons, 100,000 tons, 90, 80, 60, 60. Corsican ports, very small. Tunis, we're looking at 10 and 16. Algiers is 3. Mers is 4. Then we go down to West Africa, and we have Dakar at 10,000. Conakry, which is almost 10,000. Abidjan, 13. Porto Novo, 96. Libreville in Central Africa at 87. Point Noir, almost 9. Then we have Moroni at 2. St. Denis, 3. Oh, I forgot about Djibouti at 2. It's good we're actually scouring. Then we get to French Indochina. We have Kampong Song at 10, Saigon at 13, Cam Bay at 18, Haiphong at 2, Fort Bayard, which is over 20,000, so that's a big port out in Asia. And we should have some Pacific holdings, which go off the right side of the map. Oh, I forgot about the South Indian Ocean. Port-au-France, 1.7. Let's hit the Pacific. Papet in French Polynesia at 2. Hakahau at 2. Shouldn't be anything up north or in South America until we get to French Guiana. Guinea, 14. Cayenne, Port-de-France, 15. Pointe-à-Pitre, 15. So we have some decent bases in the Caribbean. So that's an overview of what we have to work with. We also have the provinces themselves. The oil production is important for income. So you'll see 2.4 trillion billion. Sorry, skipped a whole 1,000. I want total GDP. not after. Army deductions, so I'll have to go into politics. We have a total GDP of 20 billion. So 2.5 there, 2 in Western France, 2 in Southern France. Quite a large contingent of the army. A little bit of oil in Northern France. Corsica, we have 120 million. Tunisia, 200 million. Northern Algeria, 250,000. French Sudan, 250,000. Senegal, we're looking at 350. French Guinea, okay, 400,000. Ivory Coast, 400,000. Dahomey, Border, Gabon, 250. Or quarter. Middle Congo, 250. Moroni in Comoros, not quite 100. Reunion, 100. Kerguelen Islands, army force of 3, 7 million. There's 100 really productive people. Cambodia, 340. Cochin China, 450. Annan, 450. Tonkin, 270. Wenchawan, 320. Yeah, that should be all that. Oh, thank goodness. Keyboard shortcuts actually work. French Antilles, 270. That's both of them? Yes. Still no oil there. French Guyana, 200. Then French Polynesia, 120. And Marquesas Islands, 6.5. That gives an overview of all of our holdings and territories. For mainland Europe, our nearby neighbors, which we have limited influence, but through politics I can at least increase tensions in anybody we're looking to push. And then there's also the naval invasion that we can try to get done. But like these neutrals, that's going to be situational. Western Germany has some oil, 2.5 billion. Southern Germany, 1.6 billion. Northwest Italy, we're looking at 1.3. Northeast, 1.7. Central, 1.4. Southern, 1.2. Eastern Sicily, Western Sicily, Sicily together, not even a billion. You add in Sardinia, and it does, those 3 territories. And then Spain, we have northern Spain at 600, southern Spain at 600, western Spain at 450. That's our mainland possibilities. Looking for oil in this scenario held by majors. Like, I could go through and try to find every possibility, because, like, okay, Northern Egypt has oil, and a lot emerges. India has some oil. The Dutch East Indies does not yet have a ton, but Java has significant holdings. Eastern China, Northern China, or Northeast and Northern China. I think there's a little bit on... Nope, none in Japan. I had played Japan recently, so I thought maybe. And then, of course, the US has significant oil in Central USA, not the Gulf Coast. Wow, that is a lot of oil. Yeah, that's quite a lot of oil. So there you go. If there's a major you think we should be aiming to start an early war with, let me know. That's what we're looking at. And so we can check the relative. I'm pretty sure everybody has average technology to start with. Naval budget, army budget. Let's take a look at ours real quick actually. 1.8 billion in army, almost 900 million in naval budget. British, they're looking at 4.2 billion in army, 1.5 in navy. Germany, we're looking at 2.5 billion in army, 900,000 in navy, with 7 battleships, 15 heavy cruisers, 29 light cruisers, 16 torpedo boats, for a total of 67 ships. Russia, we've got 3 billion for armies. They're a tough fight on land, but not as tough on sea, with less than 800,000 or million. 6 battleships, 17 heavy cruisers, 21 light cruisers, and 28 torpedo boats. Austro-Hungarian Empire, we're looking at 1.8 billion for the army, 500,000 for the navy. Definitely a weaker candidate. 8 battleships, 21 heavy cruisers, 5 light cruisers, 5 torpedo boats, so very few escorts. Very capital heavy. China, we're looking at 2.7 billion in army, 700 million in navy, 20 heavy cruisers, 24 light cruisers, 31 torpedo boats. Spanish Empire, less than 2 billion in army, 350 million in navy, so weaker candidate. 12 heavy cruisers, 22 light cruisers, 9 torpedo boats. Oh yeah, we should look at the total tonnage. British, I don't care about. They're not a candidate initially. Germany has 180,000 tons, 180 kilotons. Russia has 217 kilotons. Hungarians, 205 kilotons. Chinese Empire, 176 kilotons. Spanish Navy, definitely a light, 105 kilotons. Italy, we're looking at 1.7 billion army, 600 million navy, 6 battleships, 14 heavy cruisers, 18 light cruisers, 22 torpedo boats, 145 kilotons. They're a decent candidate. Moving on to Japan, we have 1.7 billion in army, 370 million in navy, 4 battleships, 10 heavy cruisers, 29 torpedo boats. Interesting mix-up. 90 kilotons. Very light navy. And then the US, 2.8 billion in army, 400 million in navy, 14 heavy cruisers, 17 light cruisers, 18 torpedo boats, 106 kilotons. So what should we be building? Where should we be stationing our fleets? And which of the majors should we be looking at for a first war? Germany, Austro-Hungary, Austria-Hungary. They start with negatives. So that's where we stand. And with that, I'm going to call it close here. Be a shorter episode, but that's alright. We went into some detail on how things are laid out for the initial setup. I look forward to hearing from you. Appreciate you staying to the end. Please leave a comment, especially any suggestions on where you'd like this series to go. And I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.